Hi, I'm Jane Lord from Absolute Triathlon Coaching. We're often asked, especially by our younger triathletes, what sort of food that they could cook and eat. The recipe that I'm going to show you today is for a very basic spaghetti bolognese. It's ever so simple to do. I'm not a qualified nutritionist, so what I'm going to do is just take you through kind of the ingredients that I use to make a nutritious meal that you can also put into batches and freeze. So I'm just going to go through the ingredients with you as to what we're going to need today. We're going to need a tablespoon of oil, or 2 tablespoons of oil. We're also going to need a couple of crushed garlic cloves, half an onion which has been chopped and diced, 500 grams of minced beef. This is lean minced beef. It's really important if you're going to work with minced beef, try and get the lean stuff because otherwise they're way too high in saturated fat. We've got 200 grams of frozen sweet corn, 200 grams of chopped up mushrooms, some basic mixed herbs, some ground nutmeg, a stock cube, 2 tins or 2 cartons of chopped tomatoes, and 200 ml of boiled water. So the first thing that we're going to do is just pop a couple of teaspoons of oil into a nice heavy pan. You can use any pan for this. You could even use, if you've got a wok, you could use a wok because we don't need to put a lid on. So the first thing we're going to do is just soften the onions. We don't want to fry them, that's really important, we're just trying to soften them. So we're going to add the onions to the pan. And in with that we can put our chopped garlic. And we'll just heat it through for a couple of minutes and get it nice and soft. When you're using oil, just make sure that you use a cooking oil, either a vegetable oil or a sunflower oil, and don't cook with olive oil. Olive oil is great for using with salads, but not so good for cooking, just because it changes its form, Steve, doesn't it, into...
Yeah.
Right, so we're just softening these onions. This is a fairly quick and inexpensive meal to do as well. It's really good for students who are perhaps going to university. Right, as you can see, we've been doing the onions probably for about 3 minutes, and they're going nice and sort of translucent now. I'll just turn the heat down a little bit. So now we're going to add the mince. Again, 500 grams of lean mince. We're just going to pop in the pan. Just make sure it's nice and good. Now the idea is we're just going to brown this mince off, so we're not going to cook it thoroughly. All we're going to do is just brown off the outside. Just helps to seal it a little bit. So we're on probably about a medium heat there. Now I've used half an onion in this. You can use the whole of an onion, it depends how much you like onion. Some people don't like it at all. The beauty with the spaghetti bolognese is that you can add anything to it you like, really. A lot of people like to put carrots in, or traditional way is to put some celery in, but we haven't got any celery at the moment, so we're just using some of these now. At this stage, you'll find that when you start browning the mince, there's probably a little bit of fat that's going to come off. You can, if you want to, get a colander, put your mince into the colander and just drain off some of that fat. Help reduce the saturated fat content in your spaghetti bolognese. So we're just going to continue browning this. I'm not going to drain this today, just because for speed I just want to sort of show you the basics, but you'll see in here that there is a little bit of fat, and you can just drain that off with a colander. Now at this stage of cooking, what I normally like to do is add my herbs and spices while the meat is browning. You can add your crushed up oxo cube. So we're just going to crush this up and add it in. Just mix that through. Like I say, you don't have to add it at this stage, but I find it stops me forgetting. We're going to add a teaspoon of dried mixed herbs. Just some basics ones, that's fine. These are all things that you can keep in your cupboard. And I'm going to add a tablespoon of nutmeg. Now nutmeg is quite a acquired taste, so you might need to put a little bit less in. Just going to put a bit more in. Again, there's no exact science with what I'm doing today. I'm just showing you. So I'm just going to cook that through. As you can see, it's browning away nicely. Okay, if we get a look at that, you can see that's getting nice and brown. So into this mixture, now we can add our chopped tomatoes and our tomato puree. So we'll put our puree in first. Now I'm using just a can of tomato puree. I like my spaghetti bolognese to be quite tomatoey, so I tend to use the whole can. You can use half, but generally just put the whole lot in really. We'll add the chopped tomatoes. Again, you don't need to go mad, just some chopped tomatoes and tomato juice will suffice. Just mix that through. You could actually get away with one, but again, I like to add a couple in because I like to bulk my mixture out a little bit. So I'm going to add that. Give it a stir. And then at this stage you can add chopped peppers if you wanted to. In this instance I'm going to add my 200 grams of mushrooms. Just stir that through. And my 200 grams of frozen sweet corn. If you don't want to use frozen, you can use sweet corn out of a tin, just a tin of sweet corn drained. So we're just going to mix all that through. And the last thing we're going to do is add your 200 ml of boiling water into that. Now you're probably going to be thinking that this is looking a bit thin. Well, we're going to simmer this and reduce it down, probably simmer it for anything between 30 and 45 minutes. And that will nicely reduce, make the sauce nice and thick. And you can see how much we're kind of making there. There's probably at least enough for a good sort of 6 meals. So I'm going to leave that at the moment for about 30 to 40 minutes. And we'll check back then and we'll see how it's looking. Okay, so our spaghetti bolognese has been simmering away on here for about 40 minutes. So as you can see, it's all nice and thick. So that's ready to be eaten now. You can put it into little portions and you could freeze it, or you could pop it in the fridge ready for tomorrow. I reckon in here there's probably enough for between 4 and 6 meals, depending on how big a portion that you have. So that's all done. What I meant to say earlier was you don't have to use red meat. If you wanted to have a vegetarian option, you could use corn. And you can pop some vegetables if you've got any frozen vegetables in the freezer. Pop in some broccoli, some cauliflower, anything just to sort of pad it out a little bit. So, hope you enjoy your spaghetti bolognese.